What is up, guys, and welcome back to CFB Saturdays. I know I've been gone for a little bit. I had a lot more planned for the off season that I didn't get to, but I was busy getting married, and that took up, the wedding plan took up a lot of time. So, anyways, we're getting right back into the season in just about 2 months here. So I figured it was about time for me to do what I do every year and look at each conference and rank them. So let's go ahead and get right into it. But before I do, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot to me and the channel. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with, as always, the best conference in the country, the SEC. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up, starting with number 16, Arkansas. I did not like the Ryan Silverfield hire, and they lost Halen Green. They lost Bobby Petrino. They already had an abysmal defense, and now a lot of the offensive pieces that made them so highly productive last year from a score perspective, not really a winning perspective, but they're gone too. So I just don't really see a way that this team could have success. Obviously, there's always surprises, but I don't see a way for Arkansas to really be anything better than the bottom of the conference. Maybe one up if they're lucky, but yeah, I don't see it being a good year for Arkansas, which I hate because I love Arkansas's fans. I think that they deserve better than this, but this is where we're at. Anyways, number 15, I have Kentucky, and I do like the quarterback they have in Kenny Minchie. I think that Will Stein will make a good head coach, but there just are a lot of pieces that Kentucky just doesn't have that they can rely on right now for them to compete in the immediate term. I think Kentucky will need a few years to rebuild, and I think 1 year or year one will be a really tough start for them. Um, they have pretty much knew everything, which I think long term is a reset they probably needed. But yeah, Rome was not built in a day, and I just don't see Kentucky finding immediate success after this reset. Number 14, I have Mississippi State, and I think Mississippi State takes another step forward this season. I know it's been a slow process for Mississippi State fans, but I think physically Kamario Taylor at quarterback will cause some serious problems, especially if he can throw the ball somewhat decently. They still have Fluff Bothwell, who was very productive on the ground for them last season. I like that they are bringing back Zach Arnett at DC. He has proven that he can run a pretty good defense with the Bulldogs, so you love to see that for them. I'm not really selling my Jeff Lebby stock yet. He has been pretty much exactly who I expected him to be up to this point, and I think that Mississippi State, if they're patient with him, he can blossom into a really awesome coach. But at the end of the day, I'm still concerned about the trenches and the depth that they have there. I still like what Levy is building, like I said, and I think that they may have an upset or two in them, but I just don't see Mississippi State making a huge jump quite yet. And I do expect them to be a bit better than last year, but again, that wasn't super great. So I could see them being a little higher on this list, but I'm just not seeing it right now. At number 13, I have South Carolina. I know that might be a little low for some people, but the problem with them is that they have only a few incredible pieces, but don't really have the support around those pieces to make them go. Lenore Sellers is an incredible quarterback. There's no doubt about it. Nick Harbor is an incredible wide receiver, and Dylan Stewart is an incredible defensive player. But those three cannot do it all. I really like Coach Beamer, but I just don't trust this team to see much improvement because they had all those pieces last year and they didn't really do anything with them. I'm hearing some really good things at running back and receiver, but I heard those same things last year and I didn't see it on the field. So I'm going to have to see it to believe it. They need improvement on the O-line as well. They need more depth at receiver. They need help all across the team to support the amazing standout players that they do have while they have them. But I just don't see why I should expect a different performance this year than we got last year when quality-wise, not much has changed for them. And the injury reports I'm hearing that are affecting the offensive line also is not giving me a lot of hope. So don't think it's going to be an amazing season for South Carolina. Now, number 12, I'm hesitant because I have not bought into the Vanderbilt hype the past few years, and it keeps biting me in the butt. But at number 12, I have Vanderbilt. They lost the core of their team to the draft. No more Eli Stowers, no more Diego Pavia. But I do still trust Clark Lee. I think he is building a very sustainable foundation for the Commodores, and I don't think they're going to be falling off a cliff anytime soon. I just don't know what to expect this year from their quarterback room. They have the more veteran presence in Blake Berlowitz, who should be fine, but Jared Curtis is that incoming five-star freshman they took from Georgia. Could he see some playing time? And how good will he be off the bat? Who knows? He looked pretty good at the spring game. I do like the wide receiver room they have as well. So I think Vanderbilt will definitely see a drop off, but I don't think it's going to be as significant as a lot of people are expecting, which I know doesn't make a lot of sense to have them at 12, but I think the SEC as a whole is a really deep conference, obviously. At number 11, I have Auburn, and Cam Coleman is gone, and that is obviously a huge hit. But I do love Alex Golish as a head coach. He's coming over from USF, and he brought a lot over from USF. They have an instant upgrade at quarterback. The defense is super solid. I think the Auburn team, this is an Auburn team that really will surprise some people. I think there will be some massive energy shifts in the program, and I could see Auburn shooting way higher in this list, even than this. But obviously, there is a lot of risk with Byron Brown at quarterback and how he will pan out in the SEC and whether a lot of these USF guys can compete in this league. We saw with Cignetti, he did it at Indiana with James Madison players, but that doesn't mean that the same thing will happen with Golish here. I think Auburn will be a team with some high highs and some pretty low lows this season. At number 10, I have Tennessee. This feels like a rebuild year for the Vols. We don't know what is going to happen at quarterback there with Aguilar gone, but both options they have are very, very young and prone to mistakes. I don't have a ton of confidence in whoever they do end up trotting out there. I don't doubt talent, but I do doubt experience, although Heupel's system has really proven favorable to those inexperienced quarterbacks, so they do have that going for them. And the offense around the quarterback is very experienced, which does bode well. I like the running back room. I like the O-line. I like the receivers. They have some great tight ends, but none of that matters if quarterback is not up to speed. And I also have some depth concerns as well, but I just don't know if they will have the defensive safety net like some other teams that are trotting out new quarterbacks. So I think they're going to be a little too inconsistent here for the Vols. Now, there are pieces on the defense that do excite me, like the linebackers, but Tennessee just hasn't been able to field great defenses in the past. So they're going to have to prove me wrong for me to think otherwise. At number 9, I have Missouri, and I'm usually lower on Missouri than most people are, and I don't really know if that's the case this year or not, but I do have to give credit to Eli Drinkwitz for having success, continuing to have success at Missouri. It's pretty crazy to see Missouri constantly being a decent team. Missouri has been a very consistent program, and I think that they will have a similar level of success this year. I have more faith in Austin Simmons at quarterback than I did in Bo Perbula last season, so I expect better quarterback play. Hopefully, they don't get hit quite as hard by the injury bug. They do bring back one of the best running backs in the country, Ahmed Hardy, and they have Jamal Roberts as a great number 2 there. I also like some of the pieces they added, especially at receiver, so I'm optimistic that they will be improved offensively, and I think we can count on them reloading on defense, as has become the normal for them with Eli Drinkwitz there. They may not have a super strong pass game, but overall, I do like where this team is at, and I could also see them going higher. At number 8, I have Florida. John Summerall is such a good coach. I hate that Florida got him, honestly, but they did. And I think he will instantly elevate Florida as a team and a program, especially since they already have the talent in-house to get immediately better under a better coach. So they have some incredible pieces at wide receiver. They bring back Baugh at running back. There is a question at quarterback, definitely, but they also have questions at O-line. Both of those will obviously play a huge factor in what we do get to see out of the Gators this season. I think there is a new energy in the program, though. I think the play calling will be a lot better. I think less talent will end up being wasted. So I'm a bit higher in Florida. I think year 1 could be a really good year under Summerall. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong and they stay bad forever as they have been for the past few years, but I just think Summerall is too good for that. I don't see them being a bad team. At 7, I have Ole Miss. This is one of the more, I think, high variance teams in the SEC for me. This is Pete Golding's first year as a head coach. Obviously, he coached during the playoffs. He did well. He beat my Georgia Bulldogs, but he was really just riding a wave that Kiffin put in motion. I think this is the first real test for him as a coach, and I'm not super confident in what he brings to the table, to be honest. But what makes me feel a lot better about him is that he has Trinidad Chambliss as the quarterback and Kwan Lacey back at running back, both who are just absolute mosses, maybe best in position in the conference and maybe in the country. Really a core of that explosive offense of the last season. The impact of these two guys staying is massive, and it's the main reason I still trust them. Both Chandler and Lacey are complete game changers at their positions, like I said, and they bring the ability to a team and a program that it really needs since so many players left to follow the previous head coach to LSU. And I think the defense for Ole Miss will surprise some people as well. What really concerns me about this Ole Miss team is the line of scrimmage. They're just so unpredictable this season. True wild card, I think. Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss being gone is super tough, but I have them pretty high because of how much faith they have in their backfield. But it's hard to imagine them not taking a step back from last season without Kiffin. At number 6, I have Oklahoma. And John Mateer's back, OC's back, DC's back, Brent Venables is still there. So what can we expect to change from last season to this season? Well, John Mateer had a hand injury last season that I think really impacted his play. And I think a lot of people are forgetting how good he looked prior to that injury. He has some time, to recover over the offseason. He had time to recover. He had a full season of play in the SEC, and I think Mateer may be in for a delayed pop-off year. I think this might be his year. I think we were too early with the hype last season. I think that he goes off this season. They just need to find a run game to get their offense really going, and surely they are at least a little bit better than they were on that front. They were terrible last season. I mean, they have what looks to be an awesome front seven to help in that area. They got some great upgrades at tight end. I think they got better at wide receiver. As far as defense goes, we know Oklahoma will have a great defense with Venables as their head coach. That is their identity now. I think this team has a much higher ceiling than people are giving them credit for. And sure, the floor may be lower, but I think that this team will run the ball better. I think the material will pop off, and the defense will continue to dominate. At number 5, I have Alabama, and it is really weird having Alabama even this low. I know the quarterback situation is a big question mark, and I know that they lost a ton of talent to the NFL. There are question marks really littered across the roster and even the staff. Almost all of Nick Saban's players are gone, and we honestly don't know what we're going to get, but this is Alabama. Talent-wise, I'd have the team a lot lower, but it's Alabama. I don't care that everyone else is dropping Alabama in their preseason rankings lower than this. I will not believe it until I see it. Alabama always has some magic in them that is just unexplainable. And as far as the quarterback situation goes, I think they have two really good guys fighting for the job. And I think Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer know how to coach a quarterback. So while we have not seen a ton from either quarterback option, I think I know that they will perform better than people expect. The bigger question mark for me is, can Alabama run the ball this year, because they could not last year. And unlike Oklahoma, I don't think they have as dominant of a defense to bail out the lack of a run game. So while logic is telling me this should be a down year for Alabama like everybody else, they have earned the benefit of the doubt unless proven otherwise. So I got them here at number 5, even though in my head they don't look like a number 5 team. At number 4, I have LSU, and even though my respect for Lane Kiffin is at an all-time low, and I wish him nothing but the worst career-wise, it is hard to deny that he is an incredible coach from an on-field results perspective. And he kept an incredible defensive coordinator in Blake Baker. Plus, LSU killed it in the transfer portal, bringing in guys from Ole Miss and around the country. This team is stacked. There is a question on whether Sam Levitt's foot will be good to go. If it is, he has still missed a lot of valuable reps in the spring. But we saw what he did a few years ago at Arizona State. So the upside is undeniable. But obviously, there is some risk there if he isn't fully healed or gets re-injured. And there is always a lot of risk when you rely so heavily on the portal to build your team. There's a lot of reason for excitement there. And Lane Kiffin does have a really good track record with just evaluating talent through the portal. I think this team has a super high ceiling and a very low floor, especially with Sam Levitt. If he's good to go and he's fully healthy, I think this team could win the conference. But with that caveat, we'll see. At number 3, I have Texas A&M, and I do not understand why people keep sleeping on the Aggies. Sure, they tapered off at the end of last season for a variety of reasons, but let's not forget what Mike Elko is building there. They bring back Marcel Reed, who was one of my favorite quarterbacks last season, as well as Mario Craver, Ashton Bethel-Roman, and plenty of other guys who made that team great last season. And they add in some major pieces like Isaiah Horton to fill in some of the holes they lost at wide receiver. And I like some of the freshmen they have as well. So I'm aware that they have lost some really important pieces, but they also added a ton of talent. And if I know anything, Mike Elko knows how to squeeze every last drop of potential out of this team. Now, I know they lost both coordinators, and that's definitely a concern for me. But again, I trust Elko to adjust. He's one of my favorite coaches in the sport right now, and I think A&M will continue to improve with him at the helm, especially if with the resources and talent that they have there. At number 2, I have a team that I think a lot of people have at number 1, and that's Texas. And it's not hard for me to see why that they are constantly ranked at people's number 1 spot because of the talent and staff that they have there. But I just still feel like most people have the wrong read on them. I am hesitant to say they are overrated because I do have them at number 2. So obviously, I have a good level of faith in them as well. But I do think people are focusing on the wrong thing when it comes to Texas. I think that the hype for Texas is warranted, but kind of misplaced. A lot of people are coming to the season and thinking that they are going to be great because of Arch Manning. But I think Texas might be good despite Arch Manning. Uh, Nothing Arch did last year impressed me outside of a few random moments. His mechanics looked off to me, and I just don't think he is as talented as many sports media outlets are leading us to believe. I've seen him in early Heisman conversations and projected as the number 1 pick in the draft, and I am just not seeing it. We did this whole thing last year, and it didn't pan out. Why do we think it's all of a sudden going to pan out this year? I think he will be serviceable and maybe a very solid quarterback for Texas. But if Texas is great, I think it has more to do with the pieces around him and what Texas did during the offseason, bringing in beast mode players like Cam Coleman and Hollywood Smothers and a myriad of other ultra talented players all across the team. Not to mention the coordinator moves, bringing in Will Muschamp and Mark Stoops, both guys who have had head coaching experience in the SEC. Plus, Texas has one of the best staffs in the country, spearheaded by one of the best coaches in the sport, especially if we're talking offensive minds in Steve Sarkisian. They have maybe the best wide receiver room in the country, maybe the best offense in the country, and they have what looks to be an incredible defense. So there really is no excuse for Texas to not be one of the best teams in the country. And if Arch really is as good as other people think that he will be, they will be the best team in the country. But again, I don't think Arch will be that guy. Given how good the rest of the team is, I don't think he's going to have to be. Heck, I watched a walk-on quarterback in Stetson Bennett go back-to-back for Georgia, so Arch will not have to be perfect. The talent is definitely there, but the biggest hurdle for the Longhorns is themselves. We do this with Texas every year, like I said. Everyone expects them to be the best team on the planet, but they just can't seem to get over the hump. They've regressed offensively 3 years in a row now under a head coach who is supposed to be the offensive guru. I like Sarkisian a lot. I think he is an elite coach, but until he could turn those elite rosters into SEC championships, I am going to have doubts. So for now, they are my number 2, but they absolutely could jump to number 1 by the end of the season if they can rise to the challenge. And at number 1, you guessed it, my Georgia Bulldogs. I know I'm wearing my Florida State shirt today, but I went to Georgia, huge Georgia fan. Call me biased if you want to. I won't even correct you because you're right. I am biased, but that does not mean that I'm wrong. The Georgia Bulldogs have won the league 2 years in a row now, and I expect them to do it a third time in a row. Yes, we lost some pieces. Who hasn't? But we are also returning the most starters of anybody in the conference. Most importantly, our quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, who is criminally underrated. Get this man a Heisman in 2027. I'm serious. No, I'm not actually serious. But I do love Gunnar Stockton. And while we may have lost major production in the past game, in a lot of ways, I think the overall roster has actually improved. And a lot of talent we have is homegrown, not full of unreliable transfers, which is rare these days. So we look to have I think the best front seven in the SEC. We have a very deep running back room that I really like. Our defense was young last year, but they continue to improve throughout the season. And I think that the development will continue to show dividends this year, especially up front. And I will trust my GOAT coach, Kirby Smart, to reload year in and year out, even if I can't trust him to fire coordinators when he needs to. And if you watch this channel, you know that I am not a Mike Bobo fan, and unfortunately he is here for another year. But we don't need to talk about that. I know I sound spoiled because I am, but that's just how I feel. At least we have stability at the coordinator positions. One of only 2 teams in the SEC to retain both of their coordinators, even if I don't think we should have. But at the end of the day, I think that this Georgia team is looking like it is shaping up to be a reflection of a more vintage Georgia team. Very complimentary style ball, leaning heavy in the ground game, and choking teams on defense. And what I think Georgia has more than any other team in the league that makes them so hard to take off the top spot is their resilience and the culture there. And I don't mean the culture of driving cars too fast. I mean their football culture where they really are just a gritty team. Even when teams are sometimes better than them, they just keep chopping wood and they are hard to kill. And I think that the grit culture Kirby Smart has instilled will carry on in this season as well. So give me Georgia to win the SEC championship once again. That's it for my list today, guys. If you liked it, please let me know. Leave a like, comment. It'd mean a lot again. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace.